We've heard the Nolan Arenado trade rumors all offseason, and one finally materialized last night as the Rockies agreed to send their five-time All-Star third baseman to the St. Louis Cardinals. He's fresh off of an 8-year, $260 million extension in 2019, and the Rockies are also sending $50 million to the Cardinals to compensate for that salary. So I want to hear your guys' reaction to that trade, and where does this put the Cardinals in that NL Central race?
Well, for me, I read a headline when I first heard about this news, and it was a Deadspin article, and it said, Rockies trade Nolan Arenado to Cardinals, give up on being an actual baseball team. And if that doesn't sum up what the Rockies got out of this deal, I don't know what else does, because you look at, Nolan Arenado, he literally was the heart and soul of this team. And like you said, they just paid the Cardinals to take him. And the Cardinals just need a little bit more offense. They're poised to be the best team in the NL Central at this point, because the rest of the teams have had a pretty quiet offseason. So you bring in somebody who's as good as Nolan Arenado, one of the best talents in the league, especially at his position. Yeah, he might have had a less productive 2020 season, but that was a season was brought down by Corona. It was a 60-game season, so I don't usually like to use any stats from that season to really show how good a player is. He's just such a great talent, and the fact that the Rockies gave him up for so little just doesn't really make sense to me, and it's pretty sad for the Rockies organization.
It's created a massive problem in baseball, or it's emblematic of what's happened in baseball that is really disconcerting to me. It's similar to what happened with Lindor, who moved from the Indians. This is not good for the sport of baseball to see a team like Colorado that has a franchise cornerstone in Nolan Arenado, who they gave the long-term deal. This was clearly intended to be a long-term or career-long relationship. And I think there are a lot of unanswered questions. The deal is not even official. He still has to waive his no trade, which we think he will. The league still has to approve it because there's a large sum of money being moved. But for all intents and purposes, this is happening. The Cardinals get a lot better. The Rockies get a lot worse. This has become a winner-take-all sort of baseball economy where you just have, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. It's really bad for the sport when less teams are competitive. The Rockies should be competitive in the National League West. They have Trevor Story at shortstop. They should be a good team. It's really bothersome for me to see. The Cardinals obviously become a favorite in the National League Central.
Yeah, and you see another team in the Central doing the same thing that you're criticizing.
Right.
And that's the Cubs, right? They sell Darvish, and it looks like they're going to do the same thing with Chris Bryant, who, I don't know if you guys remember, they manipulated his service time. This is his last year on that contract. So they do all that just to give up on him and send him out of town. But you've got the Reds getting worse. You've got the Reds getting worse. You've got the Cubs getting worse. And the Pirates are not going to contend. It looks like the Cardinals are the team in the Central, but are they like now a National League contender, or are they just the best of a mediocre division?
I mean, it's tough to tell. You're looking at this Cardinals team that was 14th in the NL out of 15 teams in runs scored last year. They were 10th in 2019. So, is one player going to be enough to push that needle? I don't know. It does fill a hole in the infield. Colton Wong out. It moves Tommy Edman over, shifts him to fill in at second. Matt Carpenter would have likely subbed in at third, but I think Arenado is obviously significantly better. So it does boost their chances significantly in this NL Central division, like you mentioned. However, is it going to be enough in a very competitive NL, conference? I don't know if it fully moves the needle. I think they still have a few more questions, especially pitching wise. What if they're going to be able to compete at that level? At this point in baseball, you need such a strong rotation in order to be successful. You need more than one or two. They did re-sign Adam Wainwright, and that's a great move for them, but is that enough? I don't know.
In terms of the National League, Dodgers, the Padres certainly will be in play now. They've been aggressive. They've been one of the few teams that, it's been the Padres, Now you had the Cardinals, the Mets, who have went out and got somebody. And then everybody else is on the selling side, and there's just not there's just nobody in the middle anymore. It feels like there's always been sellers. The Pirates have been perennial sellers, but in terms of the National League, you look at are they better than the Dodgers? Probably not. I mean, the Padres, the National League East is going to be the most competitive division again. I think with the Mets and the Braves and perhaps the Phillies, but it's just upsetting to see the sport go in this direction. I really hope that this is the product of the half year and all the lost revenue, and that the sport is able to figure it out next year.